Hi, thanks for coming on. Andy speaking. Friday, 16th of August. Looking ahead to the weekend. I just thought we'd start with this today, quite simply because a few people mentioned it, and I know somebody else does it in a different way, which I will show you. These are all the teams rated 50 plus in Scotland. Scotland only, I might add. 15 bets, 12 won, 80%, which sounds really good. But that's your expected strike rate. When you add all that lot up and divide it by 15, that will give you your expected strike rate. So you can see that it's way, way overperforming. So when people have come on and said, oh, I'm going to blindly back the 50% and over, yes, it's been good for 2 weeks, but you have to expect that is performing over 20% better than what it should do. So you can work out what that figure there and what that would be. Don't get caught up with it. But someone from Trowbridge, Alan, this is the bets that he's had from it this season. Because what he does is he'll do the over 50s that have value in. Only over 50s with value in. So as you can see, he's had 4 bets, 3 won, profit 210, profit investment 50, which is extremely high. But again, if you add that lot up, divide it by 4, there's your expected strike rate, and as you can see, that's overperforming by 22.5%. So in reality, you could say chalk that one off, and then it gives you sort of, you'd be up 0.05, or I don't know if you wanted to chalk that one off, say, or whatever. But the point I'm making is don't get caught up blindly by sexy figures like that, because it is overperforming massively, the 50%. But that is what someone has told me he's done this season, and I know he's done it before because he has messaged last season before. He'll do the over 50s with value in. But I just wanted to pass that on. But right, let's get into it. Right, this week what I'm covering is I'm covering the Premier League. I'm not covering this every week. I'm covering this for a reason, which we'll come to in a minute. I'm covering some of League One and some of League Two. I can't not because we've got a 2-point win bet in League One and a 2-point win bet in League Two. But what I've done is I'm going to cover sort of half of the league. I'm not just going to take the team out that's a 2-point win bet, because obviously you'll know who it is. But so what we're doing is we're gonna stick the 2-point win bet and take out sort of half the sides, if you like. I'm covering this because I just want to show you what absolute rancid, awful value there is. Okay. Right, Manchester United, Fulham, 50, 23, 27. You need your head seen to if you're taking that. I remember the last opening game of the season, they played Wolves, to another home fixture to start off with against a fairly low side, eh? Make what you want of that. I think Fulham, I mean, that's massive price as far as I'm concerned. I really do. I think they were a decent side. I mean, we don't know. We got nothing to go on yet this season. But I wouldn't ever trust these at odds on. Doesn't matter who they're playing. If they were even playing my Hartlepool, I wouldn't touch them at odds on. No way. I don't rate the manager. I think the team's poor. You know my thoughts on the captain, Mr. Pointy Shouty Man, hides on the pitch. Fulham, they managed to keep hold of Paulinho. I'd really fancy them strongly tonight, but they haven't. So that's a shame. But there's somebody else, isn't there? Where are we? Yeah, I don't see City odds on away at Chelsea. Not at all. I don't see Tottenham odds on away at Leicester. But we'll go through the rest. Ipswich, Liverpool, 16, 18, 66. 2s on, we see Liverpool their 3s on. Again, this is why you can't win money. You cannot. It's impossible in the long term. I'm not saying Ipswich are going to win, but one thing I think you've got to be wary of is when these teams come up, when they get to play a big team first time out, it's like the FA Cup. It's like a glory cup tie to these sides. I always remember Cardiff coming up and beating Manchester City, and there's been others. I wouldn't discount Ipswich. I don't know what to expect from Liverpool. As I've said already, I don't think they'll be top 4 this season. I really don't, because I know from the Tottenham end, they interviewed that manager. They didn't want him, Ten Hag. They interviewed Slot, and I do know that after they interviewed him, they basically offered him the job, and regretted it almost instantly. And I can tell you that they were ever so relieved when Slot came back and turned them down. So Tottenham didn't want Ten Hag, and they didn't want Slot. Now, in Holland, I can tell you that Ten Hag is thought of much more highly than Slot. So again, make of that what you will. If he's not as good as Ten Hag, then they are going to struggle in a big way. But we'll see. We'll see. Forest Bournemouth 40-24-36. Tough game to assess. Again, I mean, when you look at these two, there's, the favourites really poor value, so poor, and then you get a game like this where you think, oh yes, juicy prices, could be an angle, but there's no angle in. There's a tiny bit in Bournemouth, but you wouldn't take it with that rating. I think it's a tough game to assess. Wouldn't surprise me if Forest won this one, but I think that, I don't know, Bournemouth lost Solanke, haven't they? Arsenal Wolves 75-18-7. I mean, this is probably, I mean, if you had to bet one of those two, which one would you bet? If you say Arsenal, you shouldn't be betting. There's 0.003 in Newcastle. I'm not even bothered writing it down, but I think they'll hammer them. I don't think he'll be long in the job, the Saints manager, at this level, because I don't think from what I'm told he's going to change his philosophy. I mean, they shipped so many goals last season. That was in the Championship. I'd shudder to think what the score will be tomorrow here. There's only going to be one winner there, as there will be there. Mind you, Wolves, Gary O'Neill's not the worst manager in the world. I quite like Gary O'Neill. Very underrated. Doesn't come across as an intelligent guy, but for sure, trust me, he is. He knows the time of day. If I had to have one bet on that page, it would be Newcastle, because there is the tiniest bit of value in them, and I think it's an absolute cert. But as for backing this at 1-3, that's just ridiculous. Everton Brighton, I thought this was a decent bet. The only reason I'm not put this on the account is I don't know what to make of this new manager of Brighton. Everton have lost Onana, so I'm not sure there, but I think, Calvert-Lewin, Dwight McNeil, if they're fit, Branthwaite's fit, I certainly think Everton can find the net at least once. They finished the season well, didn't they? But again, they were safe, weren't they? And I'm not so sure what to make. Brighton, I don't know. I think Brighton aren't the great side that that people think, and I think De Zerbi again saw what was coming and has run out the door. I think Everton will win tomorrow. It's 0.3. That's pretty good. Okay, that's worthy of a bet. If this wasn't week 1, then and we were doing and we got these ratings off this season's form, etc., then I would be backing Everton. I'd say that now, but you've got to take so much on trust. I think this is a really tough game to assess as well. I couldn't make a strong case for either, and it was one of those where you can end up spending so much time, and it's a 38, 24, 30. So the 13 to 82, there's a bit in Villa, but you're not going to take it with that figure there. West Ham, Lopetegui, I think he's a really decent coach. Emery, you know my thoughts on Emery. I don't think Arsenal should have ever got rid of him. I think they probably would have won the league by now under Emery, if I have to say. But that's by the by. But I do think there's two really good coaches there. Brentford Palace, 34, 24, 42. Now this is what I mean about taking it easy in the first week, because that figure, there's 0.62 in there at 42%. Now remember what I said there, 0.3 at 40%. I'd take that this week, and that you're getting double the value. I would be all over that, and it's 2% more. My problem is they've sold Elise. I don't know the fitness on Eze because he went to the Euros. I don't know about Gehi. I mean, I'm told that was close to Newcastle being done. Chances are he probably won't play tomorrow, so that does make a difference. But they've got a fantastic manager in Glasner. They really have. Brentford, I think, are going to struggle this season. And as I say, I can say from the Tottenham end, Ivan Toney, filthy attitude. He met Arteta in April or May. A meeting lasted less than 2 minutes before basically Arteta walked away and said, no, thank you, not for me. Was less than impressed. As I said, Toney gave the impression he was doing Arsenal a favour. He gave Tottenham the same impression, and that's why Tottenham plumped for Solanke, and why Arsenal didn't touch Toney either. So just bear that in mind. I think Brentford are going to struggle this season. I said last season we backed them halfway through the season to go down, and they did sink like a stone, but they kept up. Don't think they might not be so lucky this time around. Chelsea Man City 24, 26, 50. Again, I don't think City should be odds on for this first game of the season. It's hard to know what to make of Chelsea. It just seems to be a constant upheaval rather than anything settled. I mean, players on 9-year contracts, it's just ridiculous. If I had to bet, I would bet City, but it's not a game. Listen, guys, you know me. I've got absolutely zero interest in this level of football. You've got three teams there. You've got Manchester United at 4-6, Manchester City at 17-20, Tottenham at 8-13, and they're all rated 50%. They should all be bigger than evens, every one of those, and they're not. Don't take it, please. It's stupid. Leicester Tottenham 27-23, 50. Again, I've just spoken about that. There's 1.75 in Leicester. It's a bet that I would be quite happy to have myself if it was not the first week. And you've got to bear in mind that Leicester are probably going to have a goal head start because this defence leaks like a sieve. He's banged on for 13 months about a number 6 Postecoglou. They still haven't got one, so I forecast much the same for Spurs this season. But I do think it will be worse, and the reason why I think it will be worse for them is because they had the element of surprise last year. They came out 10 unbeaten or whatever it was. That's not going to happen this time around because they all know how he plays. They shipped 2 goals at the back stick against Bayern Munich the other day. I don't think he'll be there much long after Christmas. I may be wrong, but that's my take. Best bet in the Premiership, there isn't one. If I had to have one, it would be Newcastle, and you might raise your eyebrows. 4-11, but there's a bit of value in there because they should be 1-3. But on a realistic note, on a proper week, I would be backing Palace and Everton for sure. And I will be backing Fulham and Leicester privately for myself as well. But as I say, we're taking an awful lot on chance. And with players coming back from the Euros, not fully trained, etc., etc. I know Tottenham haven't done a lot with Romero. He came back from Copa America. It's where we are at the moment. Right, let's get on. League One. Now, as I say, League One, I'm covering 7 of the games in League One because, as I say, there's a 2-point win bet in League One. So rather than, it'd be easy for me to say, I'm not covering League One this week, you've got a 2-point win bet. But what I thought I'd do is I put some others up here for you. And there's some other teams that I felt we'd talk about. Right, Shrewsbury Peterborough 30-25 45. 0.45 in Shrewsbury doesn't interest me. Peterborough, would I back them? No, I wouldn't. They were given a right lesson by Huddersfield last week. And I think, for my money, I think we already can see Huddersfield are a team that, well, I think for certain that are going to be there or thereabouts this season. As I say, my take was Birmingham will win it. I hope Huddersfield or Rotherham do, because we're on them as well, but I think Huddersfield are a serious side, and to win away at there, I think that is a serious marker they've put down. I really do. There's not going to be many sides that go there and get a result, trust me. Cambridge Crawley 42-25 33, 0.45 in Crawley. I don't like either of these two sides. I couldn't begin to think about betting any of these. Lincoln Barnsley 45-25 30. Lincoln done us a favour last week. I was hoping to back them again. I thought they'd be a price, they're not. Obviously, I was no interest in Barnsley. There's not enough in it at the figure. But Lincoln, I think Lincoln will go well this season. I wouldn't surprise me one bit if they made the playoffs. But I thought, bookmakers might sort of think, oh, it's Barnsley, big side, and might have pushed this out to sort of, when I had them at 6-5 and them out at 23-10, I thought I'd made a bit of a mistake and thought, well, hopefully we might get 11-8 from 6-4, but no, I hadn't made a mistake. 5-2 and 11-10. Bookmakers see it pretty much the same, sadly. Mansfield Burton 50-26-24. Mansfield got a great result at Barnsley last week. Odds on to back it up, not on my book. I don't think they should be. Even as I think it's fair, they could trot up tomorrow against Burton. I don't know, but I'm just saying I don't think they warrant being odds on. Northampton Exeter, very tough game to call this. 38-25 37. Nothing in Northampton, 0.1 in Exeter at the price at 37%. Absolutely no, not for me. Reading Wigan 50-25-25. I was very, very impressed with Reading last week at Birmingham. I think you could see, obviously I didn't watch the whole match, but I think you could see towards the end which team, which is the side that's going to do best out of these two. But Reading, make no mistake, again, potential playoff material based on what I saw last week. We could say, well, Birmingham might have been a bit undercooked. He's trying to, integrate all these new faces, whatever. But I liked Reading better than what I thought. There's 0.1 at 50%. We're having a bet on it. Wycombe Birmingham 25-27 48. A tough game to assess, isn't it? I think Birmingham will win. I wouldn't, obviously, there's nothing in the game for us, but I do think they'll probably get it done tomorrow. Wycombe were turned over last week, weren't they? Were they turned over at Wrexham, I believe? Anyway, that's for another day. But yeah, what I've shown you so far, we're having a 1 point win bet on Reading. I'll give you all the bets at the end, the 1 point wins. I won't give you the 2 points and any maximums, but we're having a 1 point on Reading. Right, let's go on to League 2. Crewe Chesterfield. Hope you took my advice on Chesterfield. Not going to win the league. Absolutely no chance. I've not laid them huge, but I just cannot stomach them at the price that they were. And I've got to say, we bigged up Bradford City, didn't we? On the anti-post, I said there were two bets that were stand out for me, and that was Bradford 3 points at 14-1, a 2-1 win at MK Dons. That is probably, or could be argued, that's going to be their hardest away trip of the season. Now, to go there and win 2-1, I think is fantastic. for Bradford. I really, really do. And the other bet, what did I say was the other bet that... oh yeah, Plymouth to be relegated. They got thumped 4-0 at Sheffield Wednesday. I told you, he's not got a clue. Rooney, sorry to say, they'll go down, Plymouth. We'll cop on that bet. And this lot, they're not going up. But Bradford, very, very impressed. 2-0 up within 5 minutes at MK Dons. Dons came back, but Bradford ground out, and that is something which I like to see. It would have been easy for, once MK Dons got one, for Bradford to capitulate and lose the game 3-2. They've got a home game this week against Salford. I say that's a bit of an acid test, and the reason I say that is because that's been their Achilles heel too many times, these home games that you think, well, they'll win that. 20,000 people or whatever should be there. They should be making it as uncomfortable as possible for all of these sides. If Bradford can sort the home form out against the lesser sides, they'll romp this league. I'd like to... I'm going to call this now. We're talking in 16th of August. I bet another 3 sides don't win at MK Dons between now and the end of the season. How about that? Who do I see winning there? Gillingham. Don't know who else. Nobody on here. Well, Doncaster, they started well. I'm not a fan, but you know, we'll see. Right, let's get on. Crewe, Chesterfield, 38, 27, 35. Crewe, I wouldn't take too much notice of that because a lot of that has come from there to boost that figure up. 0.38 at 38, you were not interested anyway. Grimsby, Cheltenham, 42, 27, 31. We had a 2-point win bet on them last week and they got it done. They should have been more comfortable, but they got it done anyway. 0.13 in Grimsby at 42%. I wouldn't put you off. It's not for me. I'm not backing it. We're backing that because you got 0.11 at 56 or 0.13 at 42. You got an extra 14% chance of them winning, and then you're only taking 0.02 less. Good bet, that. Morecambe, Gillingham, 25, 26, 49. 0.05 in Gillingham. No, I'm not going to do it. Not quite enough. I still think they'll probably win. Newport, Doncaster, 22, 28, 50. I don't think that's far too short based on the... Look, I know they won easy last week. They gave Cheltenham a real stiff test, and I think Cheltenham... I don't know. I know Cheltenham were 2-1 up, and then Newport came back, and then Cheltenham went and won 3-2. But the point I'm trying to say is that there's goals in this Newport side. So I wouldn't be... I think that's a really bad bet. I really do. That shouldn't be odds on. Port Vale, Tranmere, 56, 27, 17. I mean, when you consider that's 0.90909, that there, that's 0.85. So not only is that price less than that, they've also got a 6% less chance of winning than them. You wouldn't even entertain that, would you? Port Vale, 10 to 11, should be 4 to 5. There's 0.11 in it. That's an account bet for us, a 1-point bet. Swindon, Walsall, 50, 25, 25. Again, don't see them as odds on. I got told 2 sort of things about Swindon. One, somebody said to me, yeah, mid-table. Somebody else said challenge for the playoffs. Not so sure what to believe, really. Walsall won last week. I think 7 to 4 is awfully short, I have to say, for tomorrow. I really do. Leave the game alone. Finally, Notts County, 42, 26, 32 against Fleetwood. Don't like either of these two sides. Don't like Notts County. Massively overrated. Hard to say. We'll go on to Scotland in a second. Best bet in League 2, Port Vale. Best bet in League 1, Reading. They're on the account. There's some more, and we'll come to them in a minute. Right, Scotland. The Cup is in action, so we've got a bit of a sort of decimated coupon, if you like. One game in the Championship. Ayr Hamilton, 60, 24, 16 when I work this out. I was hoping we might get 4-5 or something. Maybe even 10-11, but I was hoping because Ayr are 8-13, so there's nothing in the game. Wouldn't touch Hamilton, wouldn't touch Ayr. Ayr ought to win. Scottish League 1, Alloa Stenhousemuir 50-24-26. Alloa let us down last week. There's not many easier games than Dumbarton away. They were in front, couldn't see it out, shipped 3 goals in a 3-3 draw. Don't like that one bit. To find them at 7-10 for this, no, not for me. Stenny have started the season okay. I'm not saying they're going to win tomorrow because there's a 74% chance they won't. But there is 0.95 in them, so just bear that in mind. It's a sort of bet that I would have myself, but not put on the account because I quite like that amount of juice in the price. Arbroath Kelty 42-24-34. Unconvinced with Arbroath. Told to expect a title challenge. I've yet to see anything from them that would indicate that. 11-10 is far too short. I mean, what would I want? I wouldn't touch them at 6-4. I'd want maybe 13-8. So 11-10, not a chance. Kelty, there's half a point in Kelty at 34%. It's how you see it. They've started the season okay, but you just know that Arbroath, they are going to start picking up points soon. It could well be tomorrow, but they can keep that 11-10. Cove Dumbarton 38-24-38. Found this game a real tough one to assess. Now, if this is the Cove that we've seen the last 2 weeks, then, well, it's pathetic. If this is the proper Cove Rangers that's going to show up tomorrow, that's huge. Not in conjunction with a rating, but if you'd said to me at the start of the season, after 3 games, Cove will be 29-20 at home to Dumbarton, who scraped through the playoffs from League 2, I'd be all over Cove. But I couldn't trust them, not after what's happened the last couple of weeks. Another team I can't trust, Inverness, 40-25, 35% Montrose. As I said at the start of the season, I just think that Ferguson isn't the right man for the job. I can't see it lasting. I mean, he could have been sacked now as I'm doing this, but I mean, to put Montrose in at 9-4, I think it's an absolute insult. I really do. I mean, last week I did say they were hopeful of a draw at Arbroath, and Arbroath thought they would win, and Montrose did actually get a draw. Tomorrow, they're quite confident about winning this tomorrow. I can tell you that. They're not going to be intimidated going there at all. I don't know anybody connected with the club, but from speaking to people sort of in and around Scottish football, I don't think Ferguson's too popular with the players at Inverness. I don't see it lasting. I did say this at the start of the season. I think a defeat tomorrow, questions will certainly be asked. There's 0.37 in them. At the figure, it's just not enough. This is a bet for us on the account. Queen of the South against Annan, 50-26-24. We see Queen of the South at evens. They're 6-5. I think that's a decent price. You know my thoughts on Queen of the South. I have nightmares just thinking about them, let alone backing them. But I think in this situation, we just have to, because value in relation to ratings is so thin on the ground in Scotland. We've got to back this. 0.2 at 50%. That's an account bet. Let's go on to League 2. Right, we've got 4 games in League 2. And as you can see, value is sparse. So we've actually got 1 bet in Scotland this week. Sad to say, isn't it? But there we go. Clyde Stirling 55-27-18. Clyde 8-13. I think it's far too short for all the hullabaloo, the money on them to go up, etc., etc. I've been less than impressed. They really huffed and puffed last week. Was it against Stranraer last week? It was. I think they should have won that easier. I really do. I think Peterhead will beat Stranraer tomorrow. Probably more comfortable than Clyde. I'm not convinced with Clyde at the moment, sorry to say. Stirling, I thought they'd be better than what they are so far, but turned over last week. Not impressed. It's a game to stay away from, as is this one. East Fife 4-far, 44-26-30. Think East Fife will win. Just nothing in the prices. Edinburgh Bonnie Rig 28 22.50. I couldn't. I mean, just look at that. I could not, in my wildest dreams, imagine backing a Bonnie Rig at 2s on away from home against anyone. Look, this is probably the worst team in Scotland, but I mean they're probably the second worst team if I'm being honest. And you're being asked to take 2s on. Look, Bonnie Rig will probably win. You just couldn't do it. I couldn't. There's 2.4 points in Edinburgh, but they are awful. Bonnie Rig are slightly less awful than Edinburgh, I think, at the moment, but we'll see how it plays out. Peterhead Stranraer 55 25 20. When I done this 4 to 5, I thought we might get 10 to 11, but we're not. Bookmakers are on the case. We're not going to get anything here. So Peterhead, I think, will win, but sadly that's not a bet for us. We got one bet in Scotland, Queen of the South. Sad, isn't it? I'll give you the rest. Oh, before I give you the bets, I wasn't going to do this. 3 or 4 people asked me to do it again, so I thought we would. The weekly double, we didn't finish it last year. I was ill, sadly. The aim's around 50% strike rate at around 5 to 4. Then that way you're making 12.5%. If you have a 50% strike rate of 5 to 4, which is what all professionals that I speak to, what we all would love to achieve. If we could have a 50% strike rate of 5 to 4, brilliant. Then we're making 12.5% profit on investment, brilliant. That would be absolutely fantastic. You know, if we turned over £300,000 a year, we're making the thick end of 40 grand, brilliant, excellent. Sadly, it doesn't work like that, but that's what our attempt is to do here. Tomorrow, and I don't know why I've got the 5th there, that should be the 16th, not the 26th. No glasses on. Newcastle and Burnley, 1 point double with William Hill. It's 1.03, so it's just over evens. It's around 21 to 20. It's not 5 to 4, but we're going to have weeks where we get something, say, at 6 to 4, where we get something at 21 to 20. Right, the treble, Newcastle, Burnley and Arsenal, 1.43 to 1 with Hills. That's just over 13 to 8. I haven't set a strike rate or, you know, a price guide on the treble because I don't really ever do trebles, but I just thought it'd be a bit of fun to do it again. But Newcastle and Burnley is the double, but Burnley have just lost. Oh, can't remember his name. They've just lost a speedy winger to Tottenham, 25, 30 million or whatever. And again, Tottenham stockpiling wingers when all he's banged on about is a number 6. Don't understand it. Really don't. Right then, here's the bets. We got 2 2-point win bets as well. Scottish League 1, Queen of the South, 1 point at 6 to 5. All these are 1 point bets. In League 1, Charlton, Reading and Bolton. League 2, Port Vale and National League, Rochdale. I saw Hartlepool last week at Yeovil. I think we deserve to win. Was I impressed? No, I don't. I think Yeovil, I'll be bottom 8. I think we'll press for playoffs. I think we'll probably get playoffs, to be honest. I do. I think we're probably good enough to be sort of 6th. So that should get us in the playoffs. This is a team that I think is going to go well this season. I've been told about them, and they went off like a train last week. They should beat Dagenham tomorrow. But it's quite a quiet week. Those are the 1 point win bets. We've got 2 2-point win bets, so there's 6, 8 all told. Sadly, we haven't got anything sexy like last week. 12 to 5 prices, things like that. It's just the way it is. Be completely different next weekend and the weekend after that, etc. That's it, guys. Fingers crossed. And I got a feeling our Bradford on live Sunday. There's a stupid game on, isn't there? Chelsea City. but I think that Sky are showing Bradford and the Bradford game as well. Make sure you watch the Bradford game. You're much more exciting than that stupid. Ugh. Hate the Premiership. That's it. Back next time. Bye for now.